so many people here, and yeah, I'm a little bit nervous. Last day of conference, and you're all tired, I know. I will try to make my speech as much fun as possible and as much useful as possible. So my name is Katerina Gridina. I work in Zalando, and the topic today will be app search in iOS. So what's actually an app search? Who knows? Who integrated in their application? Oh, so, few people, yeah? So it should be useful for you. OK, app search is actually this. So you go to Spotlight, you try to search for something, and you get some results. Also, app search is this. So you say, what? It's Safari. I don't know why I should search for app in Safari, but believe me, it's related to app search also. Although it's a very good feature, as you can see, not a lot of people are aware of it, and not a lot of people used it actually in their application. And the problem is that only 50,000 of application over 2 million is using this feature. I don't know why, but yeah, I'm here to inspire you to use this and try to say a lot of information about this. So, what's actually an app search technically? Technical app search consists of 3 APIs. First, it's a Core Spotlight API. Second one is an S-User Activity API. And the third is a Web Markup. So let's dive into each one by one. First one is a Core Spotlight API. The main goal of this Core Spotlight API is to index a huge amount of data. For example, you have 100 items, 1,000 items, 2,000 items. And they shouldn't be necessary on the screen to index them. You can index them in the background. Users shouldn't see them. And it's really powerful and useful. And this indexing can be only private. What does this mean? It means that it's per local device. So it never shared in the cloud. It never shared between users. So for everybody, it will be like personal experience. How it looks like in application. So you go to application, and you have a catalog. You have catalog with items. Meanwhile, users scrolling, it's indexing these items. I see the ball, Adidas ball, OK. One time, I go to Spotlight, I paste this ball, and I found the result of this Adidas ball there. It's really amazing that I search for Adidas ball in my device, and it shows me results not from Adidas website, not from Adidas application, not from whatever. Its first top result is Zalando application. Isn't it amazing? It's really great. I searched for it one day, like 1 month ago, and now I can find it from my application easily. So, how to create actually? First of all, obviously, you need to import Core Spotlight. Then you need to create searchable item attribute set. This attribute set is responsible for visualization of this item. So how this item actually will look like in Spotlight when you search for it. It has several other attributes, but mostly it's useful for that. Then we have a searchable item. We need to create this item itself. And then we create an array of these items. As many items as we have, we need to put them to array. And then we need to index them. That's it. It's really easy. It's very useful, and you will get great results from that. Searchable item has specific attributes, and these attributes are like mostly the one that you see on the screen. And for me, it's really important is expiration date, because developers normally ignores it, but it's really useful and handy when it's useful. For example, you have an item. In our catalog, we have shoes like from spring collection. And we know that in winter, it's not useful anymore to have these results there. So we can set expiration date for this item as like beginning of the winter. And then system automatically will remove these items from indexing cloud. So we shouldn't care about this, because otherwise we should delete them either by ourselves, or user will get this result in Spotlight. For example, I will search for some shoes. Then I find it in Spotlight, then I press, and then in our application there is nothing because we already removed them. So it's not a good user experience. So please pay attention on this. We have also attribute set, as I said, is like this set that's responsible for visualization, and identifier and domain identifier. Domain identifier is one very useful thing also, because you can put these items to domains, and then you can handle them through domains. For example, you have winter shoes and spring shoes. And spring shoes will be like spring domain, let's say, so-called spring domain, and another one is like winter domain. So then when you want to remove all these items about spring thing, you can just say, system, please remove all these items related to this domain. So you shouldn't go one by one and remove, and you can remove from domain. So what are the best practices? The best practices is to implement searchable item delegate protocol. Why it's useful? For example, imagine you have 1,000 items and you want to index them. And meanwhile, as we remember, we index them in background. We don't use main thread. It's very important. So meanwhile, we index them, application crashed. Okay, so you cannot index these items anymore, and maybe even have a key so that says that you already indexed all this item, and when application runs again, this never happened. So you will lose this opportunity. This delegate is actually extension, search extension, that will work after your application crashed and will continue index items even if your application is not live anymore. So please pay attention on this. Also, indexing should be asynchronous. You put this block, like indexing block, to begin batch and end batch, and between that, everything happens in background. So if you index 1,000 items, please use this in background. And keep the content up to date. Which means that you should remove items that you will never use anymore and edit items that can be edited. For example, you add new data or something. It's also possible. So how to handle this in the application? Because we can search for it, and what happens when we want to go to application. First of all, we need to implement this protocol method. In this protocol method, we have a user activity, and this user activity has a specific type. So we need to get user activity with this type, and then we can handle item in our application. We can open it or whatever. It's like part of the talk that Natasha already opened last time, yesterday. So she spoke about custom activities, but this is like system activity that you will get from items that you have. So actually, it's old stuff. It was in iOS 9. What we have new? We have something in iOS 10, and it calls search continuation. What is this? Search continuation allows us to continue search from Spotlight in our application. It's really useful because before it was not like that. So what we need to do? Again, we need to implement, we need to add this property to plist. So we say to the system that, OK, support this feature, implement this method, and handle this type of action. So we always work with action types in delegate method. So we will have this specific type, says query continuation action type. And we will have a user info, and in this user info we will get a string with which we can continue searching in our application. So how it looked before in iOS 10. So you type something, and then you say show more, show less. So, OK, several results, like 10, 7, whatever. But now you can do this. So you go, you type something, and then you say show in the app. And then you go to the app, and you have results. And you will have as much results as you want, as you have in your application. So it's pretty useful, and will give a user more experience with your application, allowing them search for more items. What's next? It's actually a NS user activity, but we always have these activities when we work with AppDelegate method. But this specific user activity is our custom user activity, the one that we create for each screen that we have. So what is the purpose of this NS user activity? Is to index the item this user see on the screen. The index activity, for example, I open the screen, this is my activity, I remember it. And this can be public or private. What is the difference? So private activity is one per user. I open the screen, it memorizes it, I open the screen. Next time when I search for the screen in Spotlight, it will show me the screen. But if I want to make this activity public, what happens if I don't have application? This activity will go to cloud. And at some point, if a lot of users use this activity, it becomes public for everybody who uses iPhone. So next time when I search for Zalando shoes, Adidas, blah, 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 whatever, and if I have this public activity in the cloud, it will show me a result from URL. So it will show me the associated URL for my website for this activity. So it's really useful. It helps you to get like prior one in Spotlight search. And looks a little bit weird. I see that some people know, what are you talking about? So if you don't understand these things, or if you have some questions, you can come to me later and ask. But also, I will have an example project in GitHub, so you can download it and try it out, how it works, what it is. So how to create this custom NS user activity? First of all, you need to decide it's public or private. How you should decide? So never make activity as a public if it's not visible for any user. Because sometimes you have enough purchases, for example, and you make this activity as public, and then when user that doesn't have this feature in the application, they search for it, and then they open nothing, it's like frustrating. So pay attention on this. Also, activity never can be public if it consists of like some private data, user information that user never want to share with anybody. So then you need to add an user activity type into your plist. You can name it whatever you want, but if you want to support handoff, you need to specify it in like application bundle name and then dot activity name. Then it will support handoff also. Then you need to create an user activity in your view controller or whatever where you want to use it. And you say, please, this activity become current. How it works in application. So you go to application, you search for something, and then you open it. This is the screen, is my activity. Then I go to Spotlight, I search for Armani, and I get this activity there. So when I press on it, I will go directly to this screen. So it will like redirect me to the screen. And this user activity also have several properties. It's the same. Expiration date is also useful. Then important one is eligible for public indexing. It's when you decided it should be public or private. Then you have web page URL, and this is really important property. Web page URL is the URL that associated with your activity. That's what I said before. If application is not on a user device, but it's public, when users search for this activity in Spotlight, he will get this web page URL link in the results, in Spotlight results. So then you can redirect directly to your website, even if user doesn't have application. And then also we have content attribute set. It's also a very useful thing. You can, it's responsible for visualization, but also it's possible to have some activities inside Spotlight result, like call, go into map, or something like that. Please take a look on this attribute set. It has a lot of attributes. So what are the best practices? First of all, the best practice is to support handoff. When you create a user activity, please support it, because it's really great when you have your watch app, you want to move from your app to iPhone and whatever, so from your website to iPhone and so on. So it's really handy, it's really useful, users like it. And also connect your searchable item with user activity. Sometimes, for me, it was, for example, first question, but why they are different? It's actually the same. I open the screen there, I open the screen there, how I should link them. But as I said before, it's like two different entities. So you can, if you create activity and searchable item which do the same basically, you will duplicate results. So then when you open them or remove them, then it will not be visible on the screen, right? So please connect searchable item and an user activity if it's possible. So this was also from iOS 9. What's new in ISTEM, we have weakly bounding with the searchable item. It means that even if it didn't index searchable item, but somewhere in the future we will index it, we can link it still with activity that already exists. So it also prevents from duplication. And you can also keep content of activities up to date. Before it was not possible. You couldn't delete user activities. Now you can. Now you can remove user activity if it's not useful anymore. So how to handle in the app? The same way, you implement this method in delegate and handle activity with own type. Basically, that's it. So then you get user info, whatever you want, and then you can open this activity on your screen. In our application, we use specific router, so-called. Then we get user information with a deep link to this specific screen, and then we parse it, and then router decides how to go to the screen, which screen to open, push this or that screen. So it's like a way how you can proceed it later on. So, as I say, you have this activity, you have searchable activity, you have custom activity. What is the difference? Why I cannot use just searchable items everywhere? It's okay, why I should have these two APIs? So to make this like level of abstraction, I made like a picture, maybe, yeah, not the best, but anyways. So you have on the screen searchable items. So you have a lot of them, and even the one that's still downloading, and they will be downloaded wherever you want, or even in background, user will never see them, but you index them still. And this is activity. So this is actually what users see on the screen. This is this screen, not each item on it. So this is basically the difference. And another one, last but not least, is a web markup. This is third feature of search in iOS. And this is responsible for web presentation. So it's web-related. It's only in web. And it's always public, because everybody can see a website. And it uses specific app web crawler for indexing your application. So it's like match your application and match your web if you have this kind of URLs in your activity. So it's like Google, but specifically for iOS application, kind of. So how to create? We need to add deep links to our website that's responsible for going to our application pages. Then you need to add robot.txt. It's a specific TXT file that is useful for crawler, that crawler knows that he needs to index these pages. And you need to use a markup in your web pages to provide a user's nice visualization of your results that you will get later on. Wherever you search in Spotlight or in Safari, you will see nice like image, description, title, and so on. How to engage with your application? There are two ways. You can add universal links, and you can add smart banner. This is two different approaches, but they are all for engaging user with your application. So, universal links. You add domains to your associated domains to your capability tab. It's like if, for example, you have Germany, England, Italy, you need to add all these domains there if you handle the universal links. Then you need to handle this activity in your code when you get in appdelegate method. And you also can validate it, so you know if these universal links work properly or not. And in our application, it looks kind of like this. So I put a universal link, and I can see what's going wrong and what's going right. So I see that title is fine, but description is a little bit too big, okay. And then to images, fine, it's also okay. And then it says me, well, that I don't have association link because it should be like that and cannot find it. But it's actually a mistake because you can handle it differently. For example, in our company was a problem. They have a specific type of this universal link, so you have this PDP and then ID of this item and then domain ID, but in real life it doesn't work like that. You just cannot change links to your web because you want to, because Google already indexed all these items, and our marketing people were like, no way you can change the structure of URLs, so you need to handle the one that you have. We had messy thing, and we found a solution. So basically what we do, we accept every link that we have. Assume that every link that user have in application is universal. Then when we get event that user come from web to our application, we get this link, and we have a small database in our application. And we match, if this link is already there, we know how to open this link in our application. If no, we send a request to our API, please give me proper link regarding to this link, so I can parse it and present the user the interface, or present the user a screen with this information. So if API cannot find a proper screen or proper structure that they can send us, we just open WebView in our application. It's a small workaround, but it's really good. It opens 99% of links, so it's really good result. If you will have the same problem, you will have a good solution for this. So how it works? I search for something, and then I found, okay, something from Zalando. Cool, I went to application. It's really great. I don't need to open application, I don't need to open website. I go to application directly if I have it, and it's really engaging user with application instead of website. Then, what happened next? I'm in application and I say, no, I want to go to website. You see I have this small button here, it's not that prominent. What do you mean going to Adidas and then type? Previous screen or?
Yeah, side view.
This link is Zalando link. It's not Adidas. From Adidas, probably from Adidas link, you will go to Adidas application if they have this handling. But our goal not to put users to Adidas website or to the Adidas application. The goal of our application to move to Zalando, so they buy from there, you know. So it doesn't make sense for us to handle.
My question is if you can intercept the vendor, so your application can take the.
You mean so I get Adidas link and open it in a? No, it's not possible. It will be banned, and it's not a good user experience, and come on, it's not nice, it's a dirty way to do this. Potentially, you can try to do this, but yeah. So, this is another example, yeah, so it's already, so, okay, I decided to come back to website. And then, next time, when I search for Adidas, I got the same link, the application still installed, but what happened? I went to a website. Why? It doesn't work anymore? What happened?
Because you tapped before you tapped the Zalando.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm as a user, I decided to come back to website. But I don't have idea that it's actually memorized my last choice, and then next time, like in 1 month, when I want to do the same, I will go to website instead of application. It was like 10 people come to me like, hey, Kate, you implement this. Can you take a look? What's going on? It doesn't work. It doesn't work. First time when I've seen it, what? It works on my device. It doesn't work on your device. What's going on there? I have no idea. I start to click. I start to search for information. Why? It started parsing APIs, Google, JSON. What's going on? And actually, it was not prominent because I haven't found like really good information that describes that it remembers actually this user action. So to go back, because you need to come back sometimes, so you use a smart banner to come back to the same behavior, to go to actually your application again. So next time, when I search again for Adidas or wherever, just as an example, you will go to application again. So Smart Banner is used to come back again to your application if one day you chose that you want to actually come back. Yeah, so reasons to integrate. It's a quick access to your application. So you can access to your application from Safari and from Spotlight. And it's actually top results, as you can see. Even if you search for Google or whatever, and you want to get results from Adidas, and it doesn't redirect you to Adidas webpage, but redirects you to Zalando application. It's really great. It gets top results in API if you use this API. It gets top results in Spotlight if you use this API. It increases user engagement, and it promotes your application through web. So you promote your application using the web, so it's really, really great experience if you want to move slowly from web application to a real application. Thank you. Questions?